Good morning and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff Show. Today we're going to be talking about comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, August 17th. And we're going to summon some amazing comic creators and unbelievable guests to talk about some of the books that are on FOC this week. There's a big theme of manga. There are some new publishers that are accessible through traditional distribution at your local comic shop. So stay tuned after this to find out all the amazing books that are going to be on FOC this week so you can get a list to your local comic shop because you're going to want to order some of these amazing titles for the Monday, August 17th FOCs. Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you. All right. And we are going to be talking about the comics that are on FOC this Monday, August 17th. A lot of great books. We're seeing a lot of change once again in the industry, but it's all positive as we're seeing more and more publishers becoming available through the new traditional distribution, which means more access to more amazing items, comics, novels, and other product at your local comic shop. So that's a really exciting thing. I don't know how you're feeling about it, Kyle, but I like options.
I'm feeling like we need to figure out if this show needs to get longer.
It really does feel that way with each FOC getting bigger.
Right. Every time a new publisher goes into the direct market distribution, I'm like, well, okay, that's another 20 minutes we could talk on the air about the great things these publishers do. And then I think about how small my ADHD mind is and think maybe we shouldn't do that.
Well, that's why we have these two wonderful websites we're about to share with you so you can see everything, even the things we don't have the time to talk about, because it's not a slight towards them. It's just so much. So if you're a fan of incredibly published items from groups like Marvel, IDW, Dark Horse, Distillery, Ignition Press, Boom Studios, Kodansha, Square Enix, Seven Seas, and so many more, including now Oni Press. Those are all handled by one of the largest book distributors in the world, Penguin Random House. And as such, you can find all of that information at prhcomics.com, this wonderful website right here. As you can see, they prioritize FOC, as everyone should, with that being the first clickable link on there. Clicking FOC August 17th, 2026 will bring you to this wonderful website where you can see all of those books. We recommend sorting it A to Z so you can see it all. Kyle?
It's funny that they don't prioritize the alphabet. You know, as that's how people sort things. They choose to random. But no, guys, this is the easiest to go through page. So sort of alphabetically, and then I download it still because I am old.
So it's got a lot of fun options, and there's different formats to it. But I'm certain many of you noticed a lack of some of your favorite publishers in that list. If you're a fan of DC, Image, Dynamite, now publishers like Zenoscope, and even great manga publishers like Viz and Yen Press, those are all now available through Lunar Distribution. And well, some of your comic shops might get them through various ones. Lunar Distribution has perhaps the best FOC website for those wonderful publishers. So going to lunardistribution.com, you're brought to this wonderful website, and you'll just scroll down a small bit to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're clicked on the right date, August 17th, 2026, and you can see all of the incredible offerings that Lunar Distribution has. Now, before we dive into all of these awesome books on FOC, there's one book on FOC that I really want to talk up. And to do that, we had to bring in a special guest, the writer of that book. He is not only a famed comics and television writer, he's one of Kyle's favorite podcasters, and he is the man who is bringing a new symbiote to the pages of The Amazing Venom, Jordan Morris.
Hey, hi, everybody. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
How you doing, Jordan?
I'm doing great. Excited to talk about this book. Excited to not have to explain FOC to people because you already did it.
I mean, it's something I only have a little bit of experience at, but you are definitely an experienced podcaster, so this is going to be a really fun one.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I have a mic and everything. Look at this. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I have a mic. It's just dinky. All right, guys. So, The Amazing Venom. I mean, you've been handling parts of the Spider-Man universe for a little bit now, and you gave us a twist in the newest symbiote. Now, The Amazing Venom is not Mary Jane, and it's not Eddie Brock. Can you tell us about who this new symbiote wielder is and what's going on?
Yes, I would be happy to. So yeah, it's not a deep cut character like Eddie Brock or Mary Jane. It's a popular character that everybody loves. That's right. It is Fred Meyer's Boomerang, the most well-known character in all of Marvel Comics. No, Fred Myers, he's a deep cut. I know him best from a miniseries from maybe 10, 15 years ago called The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Nick Spencer and Steve Lieber, two great comics geniuses. I love that series a lot. It is about these D-list Spidey villains. There's 5 of them, but they're trying to be the Sinister Six. It's Boomerang, who's this kind of scumbag. He used to be a baseball pitcher, but now he just throws exploding boomerangs. It's him kind of getting together all these disparate weirdos like the Shocker and Speed Demon and trying to be more than they actually are. So I've always loved Boomerang, especially since that series. And yeah, I love how he kind of keeps popping up in Spidey stories. Him and Peter were roommates for a minute, but he didn't know Peter was Spider-Man. And yeah, I've always just thought he's just a funny weirdo. He's somebody that like Danny McBride might play in a movie. And yeah, and so when they kind of came to me with this red and blue symbiote project, it was Jordan D. White, the great editor over at Marvel Comics. They wanted to do this kind of red and blue Spidey colored version of a symbiote, and they kind of came to me with pitches, or came to me for pitches, I guess I should say, of like, what are some just weird off the beaten path, you wouldn't expect it characters to get a symbiote like this. And I pitched them a bunch of stuff, and the one that they liked was Boomerang. And I'm so stoked they did. I think he's just such a funny weirdo. And, I'm so into the fact that this guy who's he's a super villain with modest goals. Like, he does not want to take over the world. He does not want to become the head of the mafia. He just wants to get a lot of money and talk to women. He's very he has very, very base, very base urges and goals. So yeah, I just kind of thought it's always just like in one issue, he gets killed by a vampire and brought back to life. It's like, this stuff should not be happening to this guy, but it is. So I kind of like that running joke of this guy getting just pushed into these crazy sci-fi horror fantasy situations. So yeah, I thought he was a natural choice. Like, what if this dude, what if this like, kind of low rent asshole got a symbiote? And it was a fun idea to me. And I'm really stoked that Jordan D. White and the rest of the Marvel crew also thought it was fun. So yeah, and I should say Luke Ross is drawing the series. Luke Ross, who does so much great work, but I know him from the Star Wars books. So we got a little like cosmic element to our story. So yeah, I'm just stoked. I think this is going to be so much fun.
Well, this is awesome. I mean, it seems like, this is a character that's going to stick around with a brand new series with a title like Amazing Venom.
Yeah, I hope so. It's 5 issues right now. It's a 5-issue miniseries. First issue comes out September 30th. So yeah, I don't know what we have. We don't really have anything planned beyond the 5 issues, but yeah, hopefully if folks dig it, you'll see more Boomerang and his symbiote Passenger popping up in other Marvel stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm really excited about this because when the character first appeared, it was a fun character, and I was left wanting more. But it was a one shot. I mean, that was a Web of Venom. Correct?
The Web of Venom, yeah,
yeah.
The one shot where we kind of introduced the idea, and I think people dug that enough to where they decided to make it a miniseries.
Yeah. So I had to double check, to make sure that we're giving everyone the right information. But if you missed out on that for any reason, that book went to a second printing that is still available through Penguin Random House. So your comic shop can stock up on this to get you ready for the Amazing Venom.
Yeah, please do. I think Web of Venom is so much fun. It's a blast. Luke Ross and Ramon Rosanas both did the art on that. So yeah, if you want to get stoked for the Amazing Venom, we try and repipe all the information from Web of Venom. So people aren't lost because it's a one shot and people don't always pick those up. So yeah, but I think Web of Venom is super cool, super fun, and you get a lot of backstory. So yeah, definitely pick that up if you're stoked for Amazing.
All right. Now, here's the interesting thing. Boomerang as a character has had, obviously, I mean, you reference, the superior foes of Spider-Man. Yeah. He's had a lot of friends that are villains. Yes. And it seems now he's trying to turn it around in the name of his title, is, comeback. He's trying to have this comeback where he's a little bit more of a positive hero, at least.
Right.
Is the allies or the allyship, the friendship with so many characters that are definitively villains in the Marvel universe going to lead to any problems in that approach of trying to be a hero?
Oh, yeah. So I think, something interesting about Fred Meyer's Boomerang is he does play both sides. He is an anti-hero, and I think when things get too crazy, he always leans towards the side of doing good. Like, I think he's a bad guy at his core. And he definitely has a history of like screwing over his friends. But I think that like when push comes to shove, he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want to he just wants to steal a bunch of money. He just wants to not work. And so I think that, when things get really dire, he does use his boomerang throwing skills for good. And I kind of wanted to play with that a little bit here. So his symbiote Passenger has just been in a jar for hundreds of years, just like in science labs and stuff like that. So, because the symbiotes are a hive mind, he can see all the adventures that all these other symbiotes are having, but he's not doing it. He's just trapped in this jar. So when he finally gets out and he latches onto Fred, Passenger's like, let's go, let's do it, let's have some adventures. So Passenger kind of doesn't care. I think he tends toward being a good guy, but is just like excited to go out there and have adventures. So, I think when we meet Fred in this story, he's tired of getting killed by vampires. If you read Death Spiral, Shocker, spoiler for Death Spiral here, Shocker gets killed, and that's kind of like an Uncle Ben moment for Boomerang. Shocker was one of his buds, and he's like, oh my God, if I keep messing with vampires and serial killers and aliens, I could get killed. So he wants to like just focus on street level crime. But then he gets Passenger, who's like, let's go to space, let's do it, let's get in the multiverse. So there's this kind of push-pull with Fred being like, I'm ready to chill out, I'm ready for a quieter life, and Passenger being like, yeah, let's do it. And I think with Fred, it's both appealing and not appealing because, again, he's doesn't want to get killed. He's kind of tired of the big crazy stuff, but he likes the power. He's always been this kind of powerless guy. I mean, not powerless. He's like, a baseball pitcher who can throw boomerangs faster than anybody, and he has jet boots and stuff. But like, when he's thrown up against, the more high-powered Marvel characters, he's a pawn. He's a grunt. So now he's got all this symbiote power, so he's kind of into it. So I think part of the push-pull of this is Fred going, well, should I hang back and just kind of enjoy my quiet street level life, or should I go to space and have the craziest adventures anybody's ever had?
That is awesome. So now you just gave us a hint there. Go to space.
Oh yeah.
What is the threat that he is going to be facing as comeback?
So I think you'll kind of, if you're reading the Queen in Black stuff, which you really should be, it's great so far. Al Ewing and co. really spinning a great yarn there. But I think so. Some stuff will happen in Queen in Black. That will lead Passenger, the symbiote, to want to get back to the symbiote homeworld. So I think in our first issue, the idea is like we have to find some way to get Passenger back to the symbiote homeworld, Clintar. So yeah, that kind of starts the adventure. They're like, how does this ill-equipped guy that has a lot of shady contacts, how do we get to space? So yeah, that's kind of like where we're going with the story.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to this because Queen in Black, obviously, for those who are reading already, those first 2 issues have been epic. To throw something else into the mix now, right, especially like Boomerang, I think I don't know. I would like to think a little bit of a lighter tone that should really liven up the event.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean it's definitely it's definitely funnier. Boomerang is a funny character, and I think the like dynamic he has with Passenger is kind of like buddy comedy. It's kind of like buddy cops or mismatched roommates or something. But there's still a lot of action. I think we do want to like actually get at the I think we want to explore Fred emotionally a little bit. Like, what's this guy all about? Like, it's this question of, do I just hang out in the life I'm comfortable with, or do I try and strive for something more? So I think there's like actual emotional stuff happening in the book, and cool adventures and some darkness. But yeah, I think it'll probably be a little funnier than than some of the other Venomverse titles. Although I do think Al and Carlos Gomez's Venom with Mary Jane is a pretty funny book with a lot of good lines and, funny situations and one-liners. So I think that like there's a rich history of comedy within Venom books. Like I think the Lethal Protector series is very funny and has a dark sense of humor. So I don't think we're going like totally off the rails and just making this like, we're not trying to do Spaceballs. We're not trying to do like a parody book, but I think there is a lot of like fun comedy baked into our premise.
Awesome. Well, and I mean, you also have some great bit of what I always consider a comedy style cover, but not always viewed that way. The parody style cover of an homage.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You got legendary Image co-founder, infamous Spider-Man artist Eric Larson,
so cool,
on to do an iconic Amazing Spider-Man. Can you talk about like seeing that? And
yeah.
what is that
So
like?
so at least they don't show me the covers or talk to me about the covers. I just get to see them when they're posted online like everybody else. So when I started seeing this Eric Larson cover, this like homage to this comic cover that we all know pop up, I'm just like, that's so cool. It's so awesome. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it other than, oh my God, so cool. But I love it. I'm definitely like getting a stack of these and just keeping them around forever. It's so neat.
I'm definitely excited that I think this will be a very fun thing. That you're going to get everyone with that 90s nostalgia who remembers when this was originally drawn by Eric in the Amazing Spider-Man 300 to go, wow, I want to check this out. I love Venom. I remember this, from, I hate to say 30 years ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
But it really has me excited to get people into this, open it up, and then come up to the, their stores, come up to their fellow, comic fans and be like, who is this? This isn't Eddie Brock. What is happening?
Yeah.
And I think you have a really amazing opportunity here to dive people into this modern era that, I mean, I feel Boomerang's revival really kind of came up with that relaunch where he became Peter's roommate.
Right.
But you have taken him to a level I found notably more exciting with Passenger.
Oh, thanks, man.
So,
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to like take a D-list character and like throw him into some weird adventures and to get, and to kind of like think about what makes him tick for sure. Yeah, it's been a blast. And yeah, I hope this like listen, I know that like a lot of comic books is the covers. Like there's so many people who are kind of cover first shoppers, and like that's great. And I hope that when like people see this awesome Eric Larson cover, and yeah, hopefully it like gets them into the book and they want to keep reading and stuff. But yeah, I'm so stoked on all this.
all right. So obviously this will tie in somewhat to Queen in Black.
Yes.
Can we say, I mean, there's a hint obviously on this, and this is probably just the homage, but are there any other classic Marvel characters we're going to be seeing alongside Comeback?
Oh, yes, totally. There's going to be a lot of fun cameos in this book. Yeah, I think if you look in some of the previews, they hint at some, but yeah, lots of cameos. I think that like something fun about Fred is that I don't know, he has a little bit of a Forrest Gump quality where he just kind of wanders into important moments in Marvel. So he knows a lot of people. I think we've already said, you can see in the previews that Wanda, Scarlet Witch, now the Sorcerer Supreme, is part of this story. And yeah, there's a lot of cool ones. So I hope folks keep reading.
All right. I am excited about this because this isn't your first foray by any means into the tales of Fred or the Spider characters.
Yeah.
One I have to talk about because I've been loving it, and it just wrapped up this past week.
Yeah.
Was your epic tale of Spider-Versity.
Oh, sure. Yeah. What fun.
So this should still be on stands for you to pick up at your local comic shop with a trade paperback hitting first quarter of 2027.
Yes.
I believe that it's actually January 26th
Nice.
of
Awesome.
2027. Can you talk a little bit about Spider-Versity?
God, I would love to. So I co-wrote this with the great Joe Kelly, Perry Perez on art. And yeah, it's like a Spidey family team-up story. It's kind of like the younger Spider characters, so like Miles, Gwen, Spider-Boy, Spider-Girl. If you've been reading ASM, you know that Norman Osborn is like taking a shot at being a good guy. He's doing it in his own weird, not quite right Norman Osborn, Green Goblin kind of way. But part of this, part of him attempting this redemption arc is like setting up this training center for spider heroes. Because I think something we noticed is that like when the spider characters team up, it's always like a little chaotic, which is like, very fitting with who they are, right? But they don't train together like the X-Men. They don't train together like the Avengers. So I think what Norman is saying is like, if you guys trained together, like you could be this awesome Avengers-like team because you got the power, right? And I think part of his not super ulterior motive is like, I think Norman knows that the Goblin will come back at some point, and he knows Peter's not going to do anything about it. He's not going to like, he's not going to like, end the Goblin because, Peter's got this big old forgiveness filled heart. And I think what Norman thinks is if he trains these, younger spiders to be as ruthless as he is, they can take out the Goblin if it comes to that. So you have all these kind of other spider characters training together. Jessica Drew is there watching over everything. And and they kind of go on this like kind of college-based adventure. It's like on a college campus. So we have some like fun stuff of them living in the dorms and going to college parties and stuff, but also kind of trying to unravel this mystery of where these kind of random attacks from D-list villains. Speaking of D-list villains, I love them. So we got the Ringmaster in there. We got Overdrive. So it's totally fun. And yeah, these are like such fun characters. And yeah, so cool to work with Joe on this.
Well, I mean, and it's a great combination of the reality we've been facing in the Spider-Man universe. We've seen so many new characters pop up from Gwen and Miles to newer characters like Spider-Boy and Spider-Girl. that throwing them all, I mean, even Silk, which I guess,
Yeah.
wow, that's almost 15 years ago now for Silk, but so many new characters, and no one's really thought to do this. I think this was a brilliant way of showing off all these new characters and giving them the education that in universe they needed.
Right.
Are there possibilities we might see this followed up at all in Amazing Venom with this new symbiote that is also kind of got an anti-hero theme to it?
Oh, there's a couple little connections to Spider-Versity in the Amazing Venom, but nothing huge. There's a couple little connections for sure. They don't like the stories aren't like super connected, but there's some nods for sure.
All right. So if you haven't already checked it out, make sure you go to your local comic shop, grab back issues on Spider-Versity.
Please do, yeah.
And if you've already been reading Spider-Versity and love it, you can find a little bit of that acknowledgement and maybe look for some Easter eggs in Amazing Venom. I'm honestly, just anything you're doing with a radioactive spider bite, you're, an alien symbiote, you're going to have me hooked.
Yeah.
But that's not all. You also had another big issue drop just a few short weeks ago in a completely different universe.
That's right.
And I really want to talk about this because it was just phenomenal. Speed Racer Tales from the Road.
Yes, so cool. Yeah, I loved being a part of this. This turned out great. Speed Racer Tales from the Road. So it's their like anthology series that they do. It's these little, it's these anthology comics with kind of shorter stories in the Speed Racer universe. So all the kind of deeper cut Speed Racer characters get their own stories. And the one I did is based on a very specific, very short moment from the Speed Racer cartoon. In I think it's episode 9, the car acrobatic team is like the evil racing team that Speed Racer is always going up against. And they all have cool names, the car acrobatic team. Like Snake Oiler is the most famous one, but there's also like Tiger Knuckles. There's all these like dudes with badass names. But there's just one guy, they're introducing themselves, and he just says his name is Ugly. And I always thought that was just so funny. Like this guy on this team of dudes who have awesome names, like he has to be named Ugly. So our story is about that guy, that one guy trying to like do something so cool that they have to change his name. And his plan is to steal the Mach 5. He's like, if I can steal the Mach 5, that'll be so cool that they'll have to change my name.
I love it. That was a standalone story in a one shot of the series anthology of the Tales of the Road called The Rook. It dropped on July 29th. Still available through Lunar Distribution from Mad Cave Publishing. So if you're looking for an out there Speed Racer story, I love, Jordan, that you really take these characters that, don't get the love and attention they deserve, and you just throw them right in the spotlight. Somebody like Ugly, somebody like Boomerang, getting, the newer Spider characters. This seems to be a theme. Is that something you approach when you do write comics? When you're given the opportunity, are you going for like the lesser known characters to give them a bit more attention?
Yeah, I mean, I think it it speaks to like the stuff that I like. I like, deeper cut, weirder characters, like, hey, I love it every time Disco Stew shows up in The Simpsons, But also I think there's something strategic because I am pretty new to comics. Like I have not been doing it that long. So when when a publisher is interested in meeting me, like I am not Mark Waid, I am not Gail Simone. I know this. I am very aware that I am not those people. So I think that like I don't want to just pitch them Peter Parker Spider-Man stories or X-Men stories, because Gail Simone and Mark Waid are doing that and they're doing a great job. And and I understand that like for those bigger titles you want a bigger name. You want a bigger name that people trust. And I like when they asked me about Speed Racer stories, I'm like, well, I shouldn't pitch a story with Speed Racer because someone is probably already doing that. So I think there's a little strategic element of if I can give them like a weirder, more surprising idea that not everyone is pitching them. Because I think with comics editors, like people are pitching you all the time. People are probably coming up to you at Starbucks and pitching you stuff, you know? So I don't want to be that person who gives you the pitch you've heard 10,000 times before. An example I give is that when I do Comic Cons, a lot of people will come up to me and pitch me their original stories, and 9 out of 10 times that story is, what if Superman was bad? And I'm like, they've done that. That's been done. But also, like, this is a thought that a lot of people had. So I don't know. I think when I'm pitching people, I'm keeping in mind that I am new to this. I'm not a guy you're going to give the Uncanny X-Men keys to, but if I can pitch you a fun idea with, Boomerang or Ugly or something like that, then, you're more likely to say yes.
Well, I'm hoping at some point in time you take the reins on something like X-Men or Peter, but right now,
thank you.
I love seeing these characters get spotlight. You do a phenomenal job with it.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. These all turn out so cool. I mean, I have such good artists and editors and collaborators, and yeah, it's just like a thrill.
All right. So make sure you go to your local comic shop. If you don't already have Jordan's awesome recent library of books, make sure you grab all of Spider-Versity, Speed Racer Tales from the Road, and Web of Venom.
Yes.
And let your local comic shop know before this Monday, before August 17th, that you need Amazing Venom added to your pull box, your pull list, your subscription. It drops in just a few short weeks. That is going to be releasing on September 30th, with issue number 2 releasing on October 28th.
Yes.
So you are not going to want to miss out on these. It is an exciting looking book. Jordan, before we let you go, is there any place where people can find you online so they can continue tracking when you have these amazing characters and new stories coming out?
Thanks, man. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky. You can follow me on there, and yeah, I'll be posting about cons I'm at or store signings and stuff like that, and yeah, new comics that are coming out. So please follow me there, and please check out the Amazing Venom.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thanks,
Jordan.
yeah, thanks for having me.
Hopefully, we'll have you back soon with even more big new announcements.
That'd be great. I'd love to. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I think we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we might have another guest waiting. Does that sound about right?
Sounds like a good plan. It lets me click the things in the right order, at least.
All right. Well, then let's come right back after this short break. I love an advertisement that emphasizes Final Order Cutoff and the right date. But that ad did mention it is on FOC this Monday, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, don't tell them, but I added that part.
Okay. Well, it was beautifully well done because that is a beautiful looking comic. But I wish I knew more about Summoner Wars. I mean, not that I haven't already read the first few issues. I just wish I had somebody I could magically pull in that could talk about this brilliant new comic.
I know. I'll call Megan Marston.
Can we do that?
I know our guest is going to laugh at that joke because, it's a funny joke, and Megan does a lot of work with these guys, and Megan is a friend of all of ours. But we should bring in our next guest because he is really the person who's like, I don't know, in charge, even if that maybe isn't, what he would say. We all know the truth. So, guys, I'm going to introduce my friend Drew, who is the publisher of Battle Quest Comics.
Hello.
Hey, Drew, how you doing today?
Hey, Mathias, how are you?
Doing good. I mean, well, after getting to watch that trailer, I'm always doing a little bit better. Visually, that is amazing. Summoner Wars, for those not aware, is a massively popular game. I mean, I believe the mobile game has over like 200 million downloads. It is phenomenal. And now you guys are going to give me what I've always wanted, is some sequential artwork tied to this. So can you tell us a little bit about the Summoner Wars comics and how that came to be?
Yeah. Summoner Wars was a tabletop. It is a tabletop game from Plaid Hat Games. It goes back to 2009. It's a multi-award-winning tabletop game that's had about 20 years of fans who've been clamoring for a comic book tie-in. And so Battle Quest, we make mythic books, adventure books. I always say heroes, journeys, battles, the Battle Quest. So it seemed like it was a good fit to try to make a comic book with Summoner Wars. So we partnered with Plaid Hat, and we've built this comic now for, maybe it's like 15 months, I think. We've been working on it, and so now it's ready, and it's on FOC this weekend. And you cut out slightly, so there's just a little bit that I missed. I think you asked if you were asking about details about the world or the characters, or.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share any, I mean, like, look, if the covers aren't selling you, I mean, these are just beautiful.
Yeah.
I really have to say, and then on top of that, I'm going to butcher the artist's name. If you want to steal that role from me,
Is it Martin Abel or Patrick Matchey?
Matchy, there we go.
Matchy, yeah, Patrick.
Yeah, Abel's incredible cover there, and Matchy's stunning interiors. Just
yeah. I don't mean I cannot praise Patrick Matchey enough. The story team did a wonderful job with this book. I sort of stayed in the corner and watched it get developed. But Mr. Bistro, the creator of the game, Justin Zimmerman, who came in and edited all the small parts and added continuity to the script, and then the writer Paul Cornell, the writer of Doctor Who and Wolverine, and he's won a dozen awards. He came in and added the voices to the characters, and I'm actually stunned at how well the book looks and how well it came together. Not that I didn't think we could do it, but it's really impressive what they did. And then Patrick, I don't know where we found him. He showed up out of the ether of the internet, and the next thing we know, he's drawing not just these characters, but like when you read the comic, you'll see how much nuance there is between these groups. So, like, backstory. Summoner Wars is a game where it's a tabletop game and a dice game where you are the summoner, and these clans, each clan has its own summoner with their own stone, and they can do their own powers. And as you're playing the game, you're unleashing the summoner stones against your opponents, and the goal is to dominate the battlefield and to win the game. So all of these clans have got thousands of years of nuances between them. And Patrick came in and he drew just the relationships that all these characters have. We're talking like 30 different characters, of whom which there's like 4 or 5 that are the tip of the spear, but 30 different characters in this epic comic book series. And I'm just amazed with what he did to draw this book. So yeah, I hope people will take a real close look at Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. From our protagonist to the vile and rotten villain that is Rhett Talus. You see on there, like these are just beautiful character designs, masterfully done. And then you get such great humor from, by the way, happy birthday to Justin and
happy
the
birthday,
incredible
Justin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, like, you know, when you see it, so there's Rhett Tallis, who is he's the Rotten King. He's the Skeletor and the Mumra of the world. And, you know, thousands of years ago, he unlocked some horrible thing which turned him into this undead guy. And he comes back every once in a while and he wreaks havoc. And that's one of his demon minions that's a playable card in the game. And it's a really cool character in the comic. It sort of shows up in the temple where you know, it's trying to stop you from finding out how you can defeat Rhett Tallis. That's that thing's job. But and then you have Sarah of the Vanguards, who is like, she's sort of the young reformer of this organization that, like, they're kind of the good guys of the world, but they've got some problems, you know, like they need to kind of correct the error of their ways a little bit. And then there's a Selendar, who's the shadow elf, and he's like kind of always in the background of everything that's going on in the world of Summoner Wars, and he's kind of self-serving, but he sees something in Sarah where, you know, she's going to be the one who's qualified to take the heroes on this journey to get what they need to stand up against Rhett. And so he comes to her to try to help her, even though he's kind of a self-serving guy. So they've got this cool relationship. And then along the way, they start encountering all of these other characters who got all this other beef and drama between them. And Sarah's got to kind of bring everybody together. And, you know, and along the way, there's all this combat, all this action, all this humor, a lot of heart. Like the creative team really did a poppin' job with this. And if you're concerned that you don't know what Summoner Wars is, or you haven't played the game, and are you going to like this book, I say just check out the first issue. I think Justin and Paul, as the story team with Bistro, made this really accessible to everybody. These characters are very familiar, but they're also new. And I, at Battle Quest, you know, we see all the He-Mans and we see all the Zelda, we see all these great, you know, IPs and mythic worlds and things like that. But the tabletop game and the RPG industry's got so much cool stuff that we can tap into for stories. And the bigger companies are probably going to tap into the bigger one of those games. Well, smaller company, let's tap into something more blue collar and organic and small, and let's bring those stories to the table so people can experience them.
Yeah, and you're bringing more than just story to the table with this comic, aren't you?
I hope so. I mean, I think, to me, it's like it's story, it's gaming, it's community, it's a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. But you mentioned something about cards, like with that. Is it more than just the board game, or?
I see where you're going. Yeah. So yes. So comic books here, right? We do have we've got cover A of issue 1, which is featured here, and then cover B by Patrick Matchie comes in a poly bag. It's got a collectible card from the game. It is exclusive to the comic. So if you want the card, you got to get the comic. It's cover B. That's the Patrick Matchie cover, and you get Elian, who's a mercenary card. Elian is a Phoenix elf. He's completely out for himself, but somewhere deep down inside, I think there's a good guy there. But this is a super limited edition rare collectible card that's going to come in this issue. There's only a limited amount we can make, so allocutions may occur, I'm supposed to say, if you order this comic. But we do have, we've got quite a few, but it is a limited number.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I phrased that right. I've never pitched that. What's that?
You're just tricking me and getting multiple covers, because, man, I love this A cover. I need that A cover, but I got to get the card.
Yeah, you got to get the card. Exactly. So, I mean, and if, you know, it's fans of the game and non-fans of the game, I think will be clamoring to get this card. So it's a super cool limited edition rare collectible piece. And I've seen the card. It's really great. I've also seen the packaging that it comes in. It's right front and center in the comic. It's a really cool thing to have.
That is awesome. So you have a way of pretty much guaranteeing you getting this card if you're a big Summoner War fan or you want to become one. This book, FOC, is this Monday, August 17th, dropping on September 16th, just south of a month later. And if you tell your local comic shop, I need the Summoner War B cover, you get the card. Or you can choose the cover, both covers, even if you're me, and you can just enjoy this amazing story. Because having thankfully had the opportunity to read the first few issues, thanks to Drew, it is an amazing read. Like, I cannot wait each month to have this new story, because these characters are so awesome. Their quips are great. Their personalities just bleed out of the page. And, it makes me want to go reach out to Plaid Hat and be like, I need some board games. I need to download the mobile game. I got to know all about this and dive headfirst into the deep end.
I thank you for saying that, and I actually feel the same way. I've really fallen in love with this world watching the team build it.
Yeah. So I mean, incredible work from Paul Cornell, and I'm gonna screw up the interior artist's last name again. Machi.
I call it I call him Machi. It might be Machi. I'm not sure. Yeah, but Patrick Machi. But I really hope people in the business will keep looking for him, because he makes his deadlines and he rocks.
Yeah, I mean, his interior artwork on this. Kyle, can we bring back some of the interior artwork that Machi has? It is just unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, this is amazing. So
I think
you
that's our wraparound cover too, cover B for issue 2. So
yeah. So if you guys ever have liked fantasy storytelling from Dungeons and Dragons to World of Warcraft, you likely have played Summoner Wars, but if you haven't, this is your opportunity to dive in. It is just an amazing universe, and it is all of the highlights you like in other fantasy brought in just in such a vivacious way. Like, again, artwork and storytelling is top tier. And I am so excited to, not only dive into this, but to see what else BattleQuest will be bringing after Summoner Wars.
we've got some good ones. I keep saying, like, let me announce it at a Comics Pro so I could get some media behind it, and then let's come on the podcast again and talk about it. We've got some really exciting, like, tabletop RPG game to comic adaptations coming. Some really cool stuff. If you like Summoner Wars, you'll love what's coming.
All right. So if anybody wants to know about these upcoming announcements, as well as more information about Summoner Wars, future issues, and the like, where can they find BattleQuest online?
BattleQuest Comics is on at BattleQuest Comics, Blue Sky, Threads, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then we are at BQ Comics on Twitter, formerly, or X, formerly known as Twitter. And I still stay on there because it gets good Google search. So your images show up under Google there. So we still keep that one. Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to this. So issue number 1 drops September 16th. Issue number 2, a month after that, on October 21st. Are there going to be cards in the B covers on every issue?
No, there's one collectible card with the comic, but if we can do more Summoner Wars, I'd like to do something like that. And then we're going to be having collectibles, cards, character sheets, new worlds, new creations, in any kind of a comic book adaptation that we do of a tabletop or an RPG game. So there's always going to be some kind of an exclusive built into one of our BattleQuest comics that are developed from a tabletop game or an RPG. And I should say, this is super important, we're in the massive indie section of the Lunar catalog. So if you go to look for us, be sure to find us under Massive Indies, and we're in Universal.
Absolutely. Well, when we get over to Lunar Distribution a little bit later in the show, we'll make sure to show everyone where they can see that, because it is also each week in the FOC listings.
Okay.
So, man, I am hyped on this. I want to thank you so much for coming on, Drew. I mean, the whole BattleQuest team, it was fun working with them. Unfortunately, just timing and everything, writers having birthdays, living in other countries across an ocean, it's a difficult thing to gamble, but you guys have been wonderful. And I cannot wait for everyone to be reading this, because if you were a comic and game store, this is a must-have book to stock. And if you were a fan of those type of things, RPGs, board games, fantasy realms in general, you need to let your local comic shop know before this Monday, August 17th. You need Summoner Wars A and B cover. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Drew. We have some incredible comics that we have to talk about from all of our wonderful distribution services. Kyle, are you ready to dive into this? Kyle, I believe you are muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I was sneezing. when I brought myself on. Yeah, I absolutely need to dive into everything else. I want to give a shout out to Drew and Justin and the whole Battle Quest team. Guys, they were supporting the EXP before anybody. We were this real brand new idea, and we went to Comics Pro and we kind of threw it out there, and they're like, "We're in. We see what you're doing." So they were here way back when, before anybody else was. And now to see this thing that I've kind of heard rumblings about for a while now, come to fruition is very exciting for me. And as a tabletop RPG nutbag, I love tabletop RPGs. I've played Summoner Wars hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours. So this is going to be a great comic adaptation. So
Awesome, man.
very cool.
Yeah, like it is such a good one. I want to throw everything completely off the hinges. Can we go out of order this week? Do you want to?
You mean like we did last week when you said this last week with Billy?
Yeah. I really like just causing chaos for you at this point, Kyle. Like I just feel your life, it's just boring and simple, and I have to.
Yeah, I didn't spend that whole interview listening and answering emails. Not at all. No.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. So yeah, listen, man, it's your show.
All right.
I'm just along for the color commentary and the bad jokes.
Let's drive in the opposite direction and start with Lunar Distribution. I want to remind everyone, you can go to lunardistribution.com, this wonderful little website, scroll on down to upcoming FOC, and make sure you're clicked on the right date, August 17th, where you can see things like Action Comics, issue number 1102, part of the General Zod storyline that is Kingdom of Zod, crossing over through the Superman books right now. We're going to see the return of great manga as Viz and Yen Press are now accessible finally through Lunar Distribution. But that's not the only place we're going to be seeing manga this week. Publishers like IDW, Titan, Mad Cave, and others are bringing manga that you'll find in there. Things like And Then There Were None, which is an infamous Agatha Christie novel getting a manga adaptation. Not the thing you would traditionally think of to do a manga or anime adaptation of an Agatha Christie novel, but hey, this is the 21st century, and these are the parts of it I really appreciate. We have a lot of fun things that you're going to want to check out from our boys at Archie, continuing items from Ahoy and DC. And if you did not already grab Batman and Robin Year One dynamic duos from your comic shop this week, you are missing out. Mark Waid and Chris Samney once again returned to that Power Pack storyline that got so much attention a year ago. We are back with Batman and Robin Year One, new tales with Dick Grayson, Bruce Wayne, and Selena Kyle. Always a fan.
Mathias, before we go too far on, can you go back one thing?
Yes, indeed.
The Raphael Albuquerque cover of Barbara Gordon Breakout is, I think, one of the highlight covers this week from DC. Didn't make the top 10. I should have argued for it, but I didn't. I think this is one of the dopest covers they've done for this series yet.
Hey, man, orange is the new cowl in Gotham City.
Oh, now I'm angry.
So it actually does work perfect because the cowl is a crime right now with Vandal Savage heading up the Gotham Police Department or Gotham City Police Department as the new commissioner. And with Mayor Poison Ivy trying to fight it, it looks like Vandal Savage is making some trouble in the city. Bad Seeds continues on with a new storyline focused on the police of Gotham City, GCPD, and Batman Bad Seeds, Gotham Central. Look, Gotham Central has been one of my favorite comic series every time it has ever occurred. Ed Brubaker and Greg Rucka's epic run of it gave us such an insight onto what it was like to be a beat cop in a world of superheroes and vigilantism. And now we get to see Christopher Cantwell, who has got a number of big number ones out this week's FOC, telling us what is it like serving under the immortal Vandal Savage, this corrupt, villainous figure, now the commissioner of Gotham's police department. 2-issue miniseries tying into the Bad Seeds. This is awesome. I love that we're kind of getting a return to the Superman shield of the 90s with our which week each of these takes place in and what part. So you have a solid reading order if you're going to try and read all of Bad Seeds. But this is one I think not to sleep on. I think this will be a really, really fun one. And I expect we'll see some introductions and returning great characters based on the covers we have been shown. So, really excited for that.
Every time we talk about Vandal Savage, I think I should look this up. What the first appearance of Vandal Savage was, and who came first, Vandal Savage or Randall Savage, aka the Macho Man.
You're right. Yeah, I just was not expecting that.
Yeah, Vandal Savage was Green Lantern 10 in 1943. Randy Savage wasn't until the 80s.
Wow, I did not. You know what? This is a moment of ignorance I don't like to admit to, but I'm going to admit I didn't realize Vandal Savage was an old Alan Scott villain.
Yep.
That's crazy. I really wish, and it's one of those things, if DC is listening, it makes me really wish that there was more access to Golden Age comic stories, in modern day.
I really wish that there was a DC crossover between Randall and Vandal.
I mean, we're
The
getting
Savage
closer.
Brothers.
We've seen DC versus AEW. It could only be a matter of time.
It's true.
All right. A lot of great continuing series, as you can see at Lunar Distribution. There's even the opportunity for non-comic things. We have manga, we have prose, even trading card series like Craniacs, now available at your local comic shop. Just let your shop know if you're interested in grabbing a box. Huge one for me, though, when we talk about reprinting classic things. You've heard me rant. We've all heard me rant, unfortunately, about facsimiles. And sometimes you really don't need a facsimile, but sometimes you do. Joe Kubert is a legend in the comics world. Joe Kubert has also become a legend not only for the incredible characters he's created, the comics he has drawn, but the artists he's helped shape with his unbelievable school, the Kubert School for Comic Art. His two incredible sons, Adam and Andy Kubert, who defined many brilliant comics of the 80s and 90s onward. His granddaughter, Emma Kubert, and countless students like Amanda Connor, Steve Lieber, and more. So I love that we're getting a facsimile edition of DC Special number 5, the Joe Kubert issue, where Joe infamously did a self-portrait along with many of the characters he helped work on. Now, here's the cool twist. Well, this is a great facsimile if you don't already own it. People who are big Kubert fans like me definitely own it. So what I love in breaking the rule of facsimile that you'll never hear me complain about on this specific instance is they did an artist jam variant where Joe's family and students have altered DC Special number 5 to draw the iconic characters associated with Joe. Leaving Joe's self-portrait on the cover, you can see Adam, Andy, Emma, Amanda Connor, Steve Lieber, and more incredible creators each do their takes on these classic characters in the positions Joe originally drew them in. This is the coolest thing I can imagine. This is just amazing. You're still going to get all the wonderful interior of Joe Kubert's artwork in the DC Special reprint, but that cover is something else, and is perhaps one of the greatest things I've seen DC ever put together on a facsimile to celebrate the 100th birthday of the legend that is Joe Kubert. I am beyond excited about that.
And just as an aside on that, there is a blank cover available, which again normally goes against the spirit of a facsimile. However, there are so many wonderful artists working in comics today that didn't get to be a part of that jam piece, who are Kubert School, Kubert influenced artists, that your ability to continue that tribute on your own for your own fandom is a nice little added addition.
Man, I hate you so much, Kyle. I was gonna get the artist jam variant, and I was gonna probably pick up the foil since I own the original DC Special number 5. and you just had to go and ruin it all because now I'm going to probably get 20 copies of this blank and go around to Kubert School graduates and try and get them to draw their favorite Kubert character.
I'm going to do Kubert School. They're dropouts, people who got kicked out or whatever, didn't quite make it. Like, I have a number of friends who are very active working artists in comics that we've covered their books on the show recently that didn't finish at the Kubert School either because their style didn't work or they felt, for a number of reasons. So I'm going to have one that's a jam piece of Kubert School dropouts.
I like it.
Maybe it's an homage to Frenchie from Greece.
All right. Well, when we're talking about artists and art, this is always a fun one. The DC Work in Progress are large, oversized comic releases that give us that insight of what the original artwork looked like as it was being produced. Often the pencils or inks only. Now, for the big anniversary of Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, we're going to get a reprint of Dark Knight Returns #1 in a very unique fashion. We will get to see the original pencils and inks from Frank Miller and Klaus Janson of Batman DKR #1. $15. This is going to be some of the best $15 you could spend if you are a Frank Miller or DKR fan. I am stunned. This is going to be awesome. Have to point out Death Vigil because I cannot express my love of Sage's unbelievable series. I'm so happy. Decades later, this is back and continuing at Top Cow. If you didn't grab Death Vigil #1 recently at your local comic shop, you need to fix that and then get orders in on issue #2 before Monday. We have a ton of manga and other great books on FOC this week. So make sure you're flipping through Lunar Distribution to see them all. I am loving Dan Panosian's Fire and Ice storyline, Direwolf. I have been seeing so many fans come out of the woodwork to order this classic 80s animated film expanded with new stories in comic form. Perhaps one of the greater things Dynamite is putting out, and Dynamite is putting out a bevy of great things recently. For you Tomb Raider fans, excited about the upcoming Tomb Raider movie or the upcoming Tomb Raider comic series we had the writer Kyle Higgins on last week talking about, you might have missed out on Lara Croft's first appearance in the G.I. Joe universe back in G.I. Joe, Real American Hero 330 3 months ago. 3 months ago? No, 2 months ago. We're now getting a third printing in proper G.I. Joe form as famed artist Chris Mooneyham does that G.I. Joe blister pack backing for Lara Croft, as well as a pencil version of Chris Mooneyham's second printing cover done in black and white. I'm going in on both of these. These are amazing because I cannot wait for this Tomb Raider G.I. Joe crossover. Nothing I would have ever fathomed expecting them to pull over to Skybound, but I guess I didn't expect the Energon universe either.
That's so, I was having that conversation on another show this week about how if you would have told me 2 years ago when the Energon universe got announced how good the Energon universe had been, I would have told you, well, of course, it's Robert Kirkman. However, I would have just been saying that. I did not expect it to be as fire as it has been.
Yeah, it really has. So on the topic, though, of variants and variant themes, I got to give a shout out to DC Comics. The Green Lantern Corps variants, where each of the B covers has focused on one of the cores with a almost like, it makes me feel like it's a poster that makes me want to, go throw on a colored ring and commit to it. And even though the last group I'd ever want to join is the Indigo Lanterns, this is just a beautiful cover. These have been amazing. If you have not been collecting these, but you are a fan of the spectrum of lanterns from the Green Lantern and DC universe, these are well worth grabbing. Jorge Fornes doing an amazing job on our Indigo. And then Rian Gonzalez, who's been doing these incredible paper doll covers at DC for a while now, just knocking it out of the park one after another. This one, the daughter of Sinestro, just amazing.
All right, chat, put it in there. Which Lantern Corps do you most identify with? Which one are you? Which one? If you didn't get to choose and you just had to fall into one based on your personality type, which one are you, and why am I a Red Lantern?
I was gonna say I could feel the boiling rage and the blood pressure that exists behind your red ring. It already shows on your face generally.
Well, and one of my favorite, I'll be honest, one of my favorite Lantern characters, like I love the Yellow Lantern Corps because of some of the cool powers they get. They're super fun to read and to play like in games. But like Atrocitus is one of my favorite characters ever created in the Lantern's lore. So I'm a Red Lantern because of that, I think. I know Matthias is going to say he's a Green Lantern, but that isn't right either.
Oh, no. God, no. God, no. I mean, if you've ever heard me, the only good Green Lantern ever is current head of the Yellow Lanterns. It's Sinestro. I will always be a Yellow Lantern fan. But if I was, like chosen by a ring, I probably would get trapped with Indigo. My luck.
Or I could also see you as a Violet Lantern, a Purple Lantern.
I mean, am I
A little bit
just,
red, a little bit blue?
Yeah, we can see it. I'm okay with that. All right. So here's some exciting news for a lot of comic shops and comic fans out there. Zenescope has been without traditional distribution for the most part since the collapse of Diamond. And they have finally landed at Lunar Distribution, bringing the Grimm Fairy Tales universe back to comic shops everywhere. First off, we have Grimm Fairy Tales, the 2026 Dark Circus cosplay pinup special with multiple covers, and it's Zenescope, so they have tons of it. We get the relaunch of the new Grimm Fairy Tales ongoing #1, the start of the 3rd volume. This came out, I want to say, back in February of this year. But to catch you up, not only do we have a series of great covers, you can also order issue #2, continuing the tome of the Blood and Shadow storyline. So, pin up 2 issues, 1,000,000 covers. Zenescope is back for those of you who want your tales of Van Helsing, Red Riding Hood, Robin Hood, and others.
Can I tell you, having Grimm Fairy Tales next to Gun Honey in the solicitation order is the most fitting and confusing thing that will ever happen to me. But I'm so glad Zenescope is back with a. I'm not trying to in any way knock what they've been doing for the last 2 years or whatever, but to have them back with a company that makes it easy to get their products is huge, especially for the readership, right? So that's a big one. But I want to laugh at something, Matthias, and I don't know what you have what your plans were to talk about Gun Honey, but we have Gun Honey, and we all know about Gun Honey. They've got blackout bars over boobs on so many of these covers. We all know what Gun Honey is. Then there's Haiku, and then there is the most disparate book from these two to be solicited. It's Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Indeed. No, I am all in for this. A biography of Johnny Cash from Z2. It's a very, very affordable $10 because it is a reprint of the 1976. I want to say Spire Publishing.
Christian Spire Publishing.
Yeah.
The same people who brought you God's Smuggler and The Pope, the comic.
Indeed. Spire Publishing's Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Oh,
man, it makes me really think he's about to, throw a punch at his dad after that statement. But Kyle got that little joke.
Yeah, no, listen. I had to bring it up just because it's like you go, okay, boobs, manga, Johnny Cash manga. and then we get into Honor and Curse, which has been fabulous. And I thought this just sticks out like a thumb, and I wanted to mention it because Z2, man, I love Z2. They are now with Lunar. That's sort of a newer development as well. So shout out to Z2, great music based comic or graphic novels and comic books.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a local comic shop day exclusive. Though your store doesn't have to be participating in local comic shop day technically to order it. If your store is not participating in local comic shop day, always a good thing to kind of push them, ask them what their plans are. Are they doing any events, any, cool things? Because the reminder with local comic shop day I always have to give is to support your local comic shop day, whether they're doing the event or not. That is your time to remind you all that comic shops are the life and blood of this industry. If comic shops didn't exist, your traditional brick and mortar comic shops didn't exist, would comics and sequential art still be coming out? Certainly. But it would be a world of different. And there is nothing better than to support your local comic shop. Local comic shop day, a great excuse to go in there, buy new books, buy new local comic shop day exclusives, buy back issues, trade paperbacks, and just generally give your love for your local comic shop day. And maybe they'll have some cool things to reward you with. Sales, giveaways, exclusive covers, and more. Reach out to your local comic shop and find out what their plans are for LCSD this year.
At the moment, we here at the EXP have no plans for local comic shop day, but Kyle tends to open his mouth and walk backwards into having a lot of work to do. So keep your eyes peeled because God knows it could happen.
All right. In the world of manga, Yen Press is finally kicking it at Lunar, and we have some big ones. How to Handle My Sassy Big Sis is a super popular manga in Japan, and now it is coming stateside. This one was really huge because it was one that had a big presence before it was even picked up through traditional manga catalogs or magazines in Japan. And I think this one's going to get a large amount of talking about as we deal with a young boy who is totally an introvert, who has a sister that constantly puts him in check. And his friends say, well, if you put her in check, maybe she'll open up and be a wonderful person. Is that going to be the case? You'll have to read the manga to find out, but I'm going to say it's not going to be an easy route for this brother-sister combo.
That's not how manga works. We all know this. This is not how manga works.
Adding to this vein of just the tsundere-esque, like strong, powerful women, How to Love a Loser Volume 2 is finally now going to be at Lunar. I don't believe Volume 1 is yet, but if you reach out to your shop, they may have access through Hachette, and I'm hoping that Lunar will correct this and get Volume 1 because this is a really great series about a character named Shimba who is unfortunately defined as a loser. He is a guy who just can't keep a job. He is struggling all about, but he has the sexiest, most put together significant other, and she constantly is putting him in check, insulting him, making fun of him. What could be the concept of this toxic relationship? And is there truly love there? This is a surprisingly lighthearted and cute manga. I will say the weird thing is, it is How to Handle My Sassy Big Sis is the mature one. This is a teen plus, but both really fun and a lot more personality than you would expect in these books.
I'm fighting the urge to sing Loser by Beck right now.
Well, before we run into any trademark or copyright related issues and that, Battle Beast fans, I'm hoping you guys have all been reading this. Trade paperbacks, multiple printings. There have been 8 printings of Invincible Battle Beast #1 after a unbelievably massive high sell-through of this epic. I mean, if you remember those blind bags, stores were ordering hundreds, if not thousands of those. But apparently some of you are still discovering the fun of the Invincible universe. And if you need to catch up, Skybound is bringing us a ton of new printings of Battle Beast with a 9th printing of #1. Look at that beautiful Tan Angwat cover, to unbelievable new printings of issues 7, 8, and 9, getting us that second story arc as Battle Beast goes on to fight the Viltrumite conquest. We also are seeing tons of new manga in the way of Ishiki-san Wants to Know About Love, don't we all? And It's Strictly Business, which has a little bit of boys love fun in there too. We have a artist edition from DC and Act 4 that has me truly excited because it is a long overdue spotlight on superstar artist Jose Luis Garcia Lopez and his unbelievable artwork from the 70s and 80s of DC Comics. So that is going to be fun. Love our folks at Act 4. These are, again, reprints of classic stories scanned from the original art, printed at the size of the original art with any additions, any mismarks, any whiteout, cuts, tears, notes from the editor that may have existed. I love artist editions. I mean, I think I have some right behind me right there. Then another manga one, because we're just keeping the manga love. Judge, the Ultimate Verdict Edition. If you haven't read this Battle Royale-esque deadly tale of the various 7 deadly sins having to battle it out, this is going to blow your mind. It is a twisted, weird manga series that gained a lot of popularity with its release, and now we're getting a supersized omnibus edition for $30. You know, in a world where we're, I think, really after more things of Battle Royale, Hunger Games, The Long Walk finally getting a movie from Stephen King, and more, this is going to be a great one for those of you guys who love those death game, psychological, twisted series. All right. Next up, fans of Little Bird and Precious Metal. Darcy Van Polgeest and Ian Bertram are back with a new masterpiece in art. These Eisner and Harvey award-winning creators have a new image series called The Carmen Blade. It will be a 4-issue mini that tells of a young boy who is destined to kill a god. I've read
So
the
this
first...
is...
Oh, go ahead.
This is a new series?
This is a new series.
Okay, because I was having a moment when we were prepping on this going, I feel like I've read a book called Carmen Blade before, but I couldn't place it. And maybe I'm just remembering someone telling me about this book.
Yeah, no, I mean, this one is a twist. I've got a chance to read the first issue, and it is out there. The dialogue comes off as very Middle English for much of it. It has lettering that I think is on a whole other level. I mean, and it should be, because it's lettered by Eisner Award-winning letterer Hassan Otsmane Ilhao. I'm certain I butchered his name, but thankfully he has never butchered his brilliant lettering in countless amazing books from DC to Image. And then you have Ian Bertram's phenomenal artwork that just, it looks like it's from another era. Throw that in with Polgeest's very unique writing. This is going to be something that is going to be up for a ton of awards next year. You mark my words. Carmen Blade, definitely something to put on your radar. I mean, you just look at those amazing covers by Bertram, and they can give you a solid hint of what you're looking at and what you can expect in the interiors. But I'm all for it.
Yeah, this looks incredibly good.
Yeah. I love, though, that we don't have an image for the blank cover. I just guess the artist hasn't submitted that blank cover yet. No image.
White
No
piece
image.
of paper with trade dress?
Yep. All right. A lot of things, to really talk about here. But one, I got to keep going back to manga this week specifically, is going to be Let's Go Nirvana. Let's Go Nirvana is a really out there piece from Gememoji about a just total, criminal youth who joins the Yakuza. And unfortunately, early on in his Yakuza career, is present when an assassin slaughters everyone. Him and the Yakuza boss's daughter are the sole survivors of a massacre designed to wipe out this section of the criminal underground. And therefore, they're put in witness protection in the worst possible place for a criminal known for a youth filled with crime and bad decisions. He is placed at a Buddhist temple where he is given two options: death or to find nirvana. Let's
So
go
he moves
Nirvana.
to Seattle and invests in Teen Spirit deodorant.
There it is. Like I remember when I first heard about this, my instant thought was like, oh, cool. Like it's going to be a manga about Kurt Cobain. Like it'll be Beck Mongolian Chop Squad. No, it is a really out there one. And I'm so excited to see manga that isn't just an isekai concept when you're doing a fish out of water story. This is a really, really fun one. I think a lot of people are going to dig. It is mature in the best ways of like violent slice of life cultural concepts in Japan. But there's a ton of great manga on FOC this week. A lot of it things that we are just getting for the first time through Lunar Distribution. Some of it we're getting reprints or just the newest volumes. But if you are a manga fan, now is the time to be paying attention to Lunar Distribution and PRH Comics and letting your comic shop know if they don't already stock your favorite manga to get it. We even get things like Scholastic getting wonderful all ages, like the New Girl series from Cassandra Kalin. I know everyone always thinks it's going to be Cassandra Cain, like Batgirl, but no, Cassandra Kalin. Great middle grade to teenage, all ages realistically reading. The New Girl series has 2 volumes that will instantly become available through Lunar Distribution in your local comic shop. No waiting for the Scholastic Book Fair to get to your school. One more manga I got to hit at Lunar. I feel like we've become a manga show as opposed to Western comics, but they're all sequential art and comics. Manga is comics, and this one is a unique one. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy, any of the Final Fantasy series, you likely know the musical work of Nobuo Uematsu. Nobuo Uematsu is the composer who has brought us so much brilliant music over the last few decades. And we get a hardcover written about his work. Nobuo Uematsu on the record tells you of what it was like composing these classic Final Fantasy soundtracks that hardcore video game fans likely have as physical media. They've listened to, they stream on YouTube and more. Really fun one. I mean, this is the Japanese equivalent, if you ask me, of John Williams. So, very fun piece. A lot of great continuing Image comic series. I got to do another manga. Kyle, just slap me. I'm doing more manga. We're talking about it.
Well, I'm watching the clock. But okay, when you said you got to do another manga and then you bring this one up, that doesn't count.
Yeah, pardon the intrusion. I'm home. Not only a great manga series, a phenomenal anime with a new season this or a new series this season of anime releases. Pardon the intrusion. I'm home tells the story of a young girl who is a total shut-in geek that unfortunately falls upon a weird situation when the apartment she's living in suddenly features 2 holes on opposing walls, and her male neighbors butt into her life in a very literal sense. When an accident leads to the very poorly designed walls of this Japanese apartment complex opening up, Rinko discovers she has 2 neighbors that are going to quickly become a massive part of her life. And one of them is one of her favorite mangaka. It is a out there cute series that I think everyone will love. And I can tell you from the very, very popular anime right now, people have been adoring it. This is just a must-read slice of life for any fan.
It's funny that we had the manga New Girl earlier, or the book New Girl earlier from Scholastic. This is very much like the show New Girl.
Yes.
If it was set in a manga setting or if it was a Japanese story as opposed to Liz Merriweather in LA, right? This has all of the things that as much as it might not look like it's going to appeal to you, if you're into hijinkery and sitcominess and that kind of the hilarity of everyday life, this book is something that you will enjoy, even if you're not generally a manga reader.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't count, because it isn't strictly a manga. It is an anime. It is a cultural touchstone of the moment, especially in Japan right now. So make sure you're checking that out if you're even at all interested in. Again, life is strange, man.
Yes.
Sometimes the walls fall apart in your apartment and it just turns into one giant room.
Well, let's double down on it. This one's not manga because it's a video game and it's a card game, and everyone loves the lifestyle that is Pokemon. So when I can offer you guys 12 volumes of a manga series for $70 in a fancy slipcase, I got to bring it up. The collector's box set for the entirety of Pokemon Sun and Moon. Look, this is a steal. $70, 12 volumes, fancy slipcase. Look, I feel it's hard to buy a pack of Pokemon for $70 nowadays. 12 volumes of incredible reading. Anyone can adore. It needs to be on your radar. Pokemon Sun and Moon. Just like another reprint of Jimmy Palmiotti and Dave Johnson's Pop Kill with a new cover by Yishan Lee, getting you guys ready for a Labor Day theme. And that reminder, if you haven't read Pop Kill, this is a great way to reread or enter into number one before the second volume of Pop Kill hits later this year.
I'm so glad we're getting a second volume of that book.
Yeah.
You know, when that came out and we had Jimmy on, it was like, okay, this is a thing that exists on Kickstarter. We've done this thing, but like to get another volume of it is a huge boon.
Yeah. Keep in mind, a lot of great manga on FOC this week. Do not miss out on this. But let's do something as Western as we can get. Spawn, the highest selling comic of the 90s. This was an unbelievable breakthrough as Image blew up under Todd McFarlane's classic character, a Guinness Book of World Records holding comic. It is nearing issue 400. It has a whole universe of multiple characters. But let's go back to a youthful Todd McFarlane in 1977 as he thought of Spawn as a superhero in a world of 70s superheroes. Now let's dive to the modern day for a new 3-issue miniseries done by Todd McFarlane and superstar Mark Spears as we get a alternate take on what Spawn could have been had it been developed nearly, 49 years ago. 49 years ago. That is crazy to think of. Spawn 77 will be a new miniseries. Is that crazy superhero-esque? I don't even know what do we call Spawn nowadays? What is Al Simmons? An anti-hero? A wielder of justice and religion? He's just Spawn. Yeah, I mean, actually, that is an adjective I use for other characters that try and pull that off. But here we have a wickedly different version of Spawn. Starts in Spawn 77 #1. Some incredible covers, including a Todd McFarlane Mark Spears crossover cover. Emma Rios doing a cover. I like this, 1977 McFarlane updated by McFarlane. So it's McFarlane drawing over McFarlane. But if you want the crazy one, not all stores are going to get this. This is going to be a reach. But if your store is ordering 100 copies, you can get that original Todd McFarlane 1977 sketch. That is something else. People are going to flip out about that. Reach out to your local comic shop. See if they're ordering big on Spawn 77. If they are, maybe they'll get it. It is not going to be a cheap book, but, talk to them. See what happens. Some great covers on this. All right. So, a lot of great things. Starhenge, we always love talking about and pointing out there. Summoner Wars. Remember, the B cover comes polybagged with a player card for the game. Though, again, I got to stress that beautiful A cover. Paul Cornell, Justin Zimmerman on there. Patrick, I'm going to screw his name up again. Machi, I believe it is, doing the unbelievable interiors. You're going to want this. Hold on. One more. All the manga love. Succubus meets her match in a world where demons are just everyday parts of life. What happens when a young succubus finds the thing that is going to make her life a living hell? Cute little manga series right there. Supergirl, continuing on the Kingdom of Zod. We'll talk more on that. Sword of the Stone, getting a adventure continuation beyond what we saw in the animated film, classic Disney animated film, as we get more tales of both Merlin and I cannot remember the name of the witch that he had that most epic battle with, but
The Lady in the Lake?
No, not the lady. Oh man, yeah, my mind's gone. So yeah, Sword in the Stone continuing on. We get Tailspin continuing on. All that Disney love from Paper Cuts and Dynamite. A reprint of classic Tank Girl stories you likely don't have unless you were collecting Deadline magazine back in the spring of 1992. Some awesome new Alan Martin and Jamie Hewlett. Anytime we get that combo together, it is worth paying attention to. So much this week. We're going to have to wrap it up with things like Thundercats, Chitara, Saladin Ahmed bringing us our beloved and most loved character from the Thundercats series in a new miniseries. And we have Transformers continuing on, wrapping up the current story arc with perhaps some new characters, some first appearances worth paying attention to. More manga love. I got to keep giving it. Thus Spoke the Rabbit, where we get the tale of a bunny girl and a wolf girl fighting evil man-eating rabbits. I just love that we have access to all this manga now. Vampire Survivors, new 4-issue miniseries about a zombie-like apocalypse, but it's not undead. It's vampires taking over. Oh, so many incredible books. So little time. Make sure you check out lunardistribution.com for all of it. But we got to pop over to Penguin Random House because I've got a lot of things to talk about over there. Over 280 items on FOC for Penguin Random House this week. Remember, go to prhcomics.com to take a look at these because you have some big ones like AVX. And I'm not talking Avengers versus X-Men. It's Alien versus X-Men with two superstars. I don't understand how you can get in the same binding. Kieran Gillen and Chris Claremont are teaming up to give us Xenomorphs versus Xavier's students. I had to find a way to double the X's there. Alien versus X-Men. This is going to be awesome. Some beautiful covers on this. Really great new miniseries. Like, I mean, where's your bet lean? You know, Kyle, are you Xenomorph or are you X-Men?
I hope the Predator kills them all.
Ah, well, we can talk about that in a little bit.
Well, only because I want to see Predator versus Cyclops.
Yes. Heat Vision isn't going to do much there.
This is what I'm saying. It's going to be a very interesting fight.
All right. We had Jordan Morris on at the top of the hour talking about the amazing Venom. I cannot wait to see more with Boomerang wielding Passenger, the new symbiote, as comeback. This is awesome. I am beyond hyped. This is going to be a fun series. I wish it was an ongoing. My fingers are crossed. You know, I didn't want to say it with Jordan in case he could, you know, hint at or, you know, reveal with his face, but come on, Marvel, make this an ongoing series. Jordan Morris, Luke Ross, the amazing Venom. Then a big twist comes under the pen of Chip Zdarsky as Avengers Armageddon #4 hits and everything changes. Look, I know that Marvel's known for saying this. It really drops to deaf ears most times, but a key moment in Marvel history as a new character takes the stage. This is going to be a first appearance. It's going to set everything up for the new Avengers #1 written by Chip Zdarsky that is hitting this November. And there's even going to be a classified cover by Michael Cho that all lay odds has that first appearance on the cover. So something to pay attention to on an awesome event. Because, you know, Chip Zdarsky, just take it all over. Take it all. Write it, draw it, make it an event. Chip Zdarsky, you are the Prince of Canada. Please take my money. Write these books. In a theme of so much manga this week, manga even comes to IDW. Now, not traditionally. IDW, for those of you who recall, is also distributing and somewhat publishing Alien Books. Alien Books has had manga going back for a while to even their Diamond days, but Alien manga continues now under IDW with Battix by Toriumon Takeda. This is a cute and goofy story about two criminals and a child trying to survive a dark world, as our protagonist is a young man who was thrown out by his parents at 10 years old, and at 20 is told by the bad people his parents owed money to, that debt is yours now to deal with. Really out there craziness, kind of got a goofy criminal Lone Wolf and Cub vibe meets what was that that TV series in both England and America about the family that was just constantly like screw ups?
All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
I'm just pissed that this isn't about a group of bad ducks.
It would be great as that, wouldn't it?
If the bad guys were ducks, I would be screaming about this book from the rooftops. But no.
Nevertheless, more great manga from more publishers to talk about this week. Now, here's an interesting one I would never expect of Mike Mignola and set in the Hellboy universe, but Ghost of a Ghost is a 60s style spy thriller set in the Hellboy universe. If you remember Giant Robot Hellboy, you likely remember our protagonist, Agent Gion, who gained superpowers. And now we're going to get a comic that is James Bond and Avengers-esque, and I'm not talking about Marvel's Avengers, set in the Hellboy universe by Mike Mignola and Chris Robertson, art by Michael Avon Oeming, who did this beautiful cover I had to show off. This is the weirdest thing I could think of in the Hellboy universe, and I am all in for it. So let's try something new. It was not what I would expect, you know, like several decades into Hellboy, but I'm in. Meanwhile, something I can't talk much on is Godzilla versus America, New York City. Why can't I talk much about it? Well, it's weird. I don't know like why we chose New York City. Godzilla, when he attacks America, almost always attacks New York City. Seeing him in places like Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago, Dallas, Portland, those were great twists. But New York City, we've seen it a lot. And here's the interesting part. I have scoured the internet, and I cannot tell you who is writing or drawing this book. Nathan Fox and Dean Haspel are doing covers. Cool. They're beautiful covers. You can see them both here. No part of the solicitation and nothing online has shown me any hint of who the creators are. We don't know who's writing it. We don't know who's drawing it, but we got to finalize orders right now. And the only thing we get this from the solicitation is a bunch of bad New York references like, hey, I'm smashing here, and Godzilla can wreck it anywhere. It is an oddity.
Okay, but Godzilla can wreck it anywhere, but sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name.
Was
Like,
Cheers in New
you
York
got
City?
sometimes you have to go home again, and this is New York. This is Godzilla going home. He has to destroy the thing he's most familiar with. It's like watching The Office for the 700th time, right? This is Godzilla like trauma dumping on New York because he's tired of all these other places he's had to visit, and he's destroying New York because it feels like comfortable. It's like a blankie. The fires of Dell's Kitchen are a blankie for Godzilla. I don't know. Like, the fact that there is no information on this is a huge problem. But
Yeah.
like, also, we know what we're getting. Godzilla is destroying New York. I'm guessing he punches the Flatiron Building at some point. I'm guessing maybe the Brooklyn Bridge catches on fire. Maybe this tidal estuary that is the river becomes more of an ocean than an estuary because Godzilla messes up the landmass. I don't know. All of the things we've always seen happen are going to happen again, and this time with the Dean Habespiel cover.
Yeah.
So, we don't need a whole lot to know what we're getting here, but it would certainly be helpful to know who's giving it to us.
Yeah. The line that we get, the closest we get is a use you, there you go, New York slang, of top New York City comic talent assembles, but they can't tell us any of it. Now, mind you, I want to point out, IDW has been doing a phenomenal job with Godzilla. Their editor over there has been just great. They have brought amazing talent to it. The Kaisei universe of Godzilla has just astounded me issue after issue. I love Starship Godzilla. Horror of Godzilla is blowing my mind. But I just really have to criticize that, like, we're going into FOC, and you Godzilla fans that get everything, you're going to reach out to your local comic shop and order it, but this is just a lack of information to be ordering blind in. So please help out your comic shop. If you know you're all about these Godzilla versus America, or you want some NYC love with Godzilla and NYC creators, let your local comic shop know this is going to be a hard one on us to truly judge who beyond the big green kaiju fans are going to want it.
And hey, if you're a New York creator who watches this show, and I know there's a few of you, and you're working on this book, would you please just freaking tell us?
All right. Well, let's talk about a publisher and a book that does list all of the creators on it. Boom's Hello Darkness 25. We got to have the incredible Teenie Howard on, where she accidentally gave hint of what the contents of this book was early on. Yes, Teenie Howard is back with more Marian Heretic. Yes, the nunsploitation of Marian Heretic continues in a several issue arc in Hello Darkness, starting with issue 25. We also get Robert Menenges and Jonathan Marks on the whole. We get the forensic relicologist. I cannot talk today, and you guys are giving me big words, by Alejandro Arbona and Giorgio Pontrelli. But all sorts of fun in this haunting anthology. Outside of the incredible EC stuff that Oni has been doing, Hello Darkness is one of my favorite horror anthologies currently coming out. And it is up there with classic EC, in my opinion, as overall best horror anthologies in comics. I am loving this issue after issue, and I am excited for more Marian Heretic. A lot of great covers on this, too. I want to point out a lot of great covers, including local comic shop day covers. You actually have to scroll to see all of them this round. Then adding to the horror of Boom, Hellraiser Resurrection continues, part of the 5 one-shots releasing in September. Continuing tales on your favorite Cenobites. It's Butterball in Hellraiser Resurrection Hell's Council as Nero O'Reilly and Francesca, I think that's Francesca. Sirigi. I'm going to stop pronouncing names, Kyle. I'm just going to
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you still try.
Yep. I apologize to every comic creator whose name I have screwed up at some point in my long history of doing this. You guys all have great names. I have horrible enunciation. But Hellraiser is back, Butterball is back, and this really comes off as a Stephen King-esque misery situation, as Butterball is taken in by somebody who loves and adores him, and might be whispering sweet, hellish nothings into his ear. How that'll affect our Cenobite Cenobite protagonist, and how that might affect his savior is going to be the question of this awesome one. But it definitely is building up as we get more and more Cenobite tales. What is going to happen when all of these Cenobites revive? Some haunting covers right there in our variant section, so make sure you take a look and let your shop know what you want. Now let's pop back to the world of video games. I am excited every time I hear news about the upcoming live-action Zelda film, but for me, it will always be the video games, and Tears of the Kingdom was a masterpiece. Now we get a Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom art book. There are two versions of this. There's the traditional art book that is going to be $60, but I have to show off this hero edition of the Secrets of the Zonai that is going to feature an actual cloth scroll, replica items from the video games, prints, and of course the art book in a fancy slipcase edition. Dark Horse has been known for producing some brilliant art books, but then when they go really big with the collector's editions, it's always worth considering if you're a big fan. Huge fan of Link in his mini video games. I got to go after this hero edition of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Secrets of the Zonai. It's $120 as opposed to the $60 art book, but man, a map of Hyrule, like some of the other incredible items that are going to be in here. This is awesome. Kyle, what's your favorite Zelda game?
None.
Really?
Nope.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm too ADHD for Zelda. The second I have to start running around trying to find a thing to do is the second that I realize the game is over for me, because I'm never going to do that. So I liked Breath of the Wild. I thought it was beautiful. I maybe played it for 3 hours on a plane.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it'll always be A Link to the Past, but, in a strong one, that first N64 Zelda game, Ocarina of Time, just...
Can I tell you why I can't do Ocarina of Time?
Why is that?
I spent a lot of years working gaming conventions where people walk around playing ocarinas, and if I never have to hear a freaking ocarina again, it'll be too soon.
There you go. I just feel I don't get enough ocarinas in my life, but yeah.
Then go to Gen Con. They're everywhere.
Fair enough. All right. Manga is so prevalent this week in FOC, it is even invading Western comics with the 25th anniversary of the Marvel Mangaverse. This is the third week in a row I've had to say the 25th anniversary of the Marvel Mangaverse, and it is aging me more rapidly than any thought of how long ago it was that Ocarina of Time came out. But new stories set in the Marvel Mangaverse, great entry points for all those people who are watching now because of manga that want to get a Western comic, or all those Western comic people who are hearing me talk about manga so much and want to dip their toe ever so lightly in. Ashley Allen, who is blowing up on the scene, teams up with the Italian powerhouse that is Mercandolfo on Marvel Mangaverse Arcane Avengers. And despite the title, it is not the heroes you'd think. I thought this was all going to be traditional mystical characters like Wiccan. And while Wiccan is a part, it's led by Hawkeye and Winter Soldier. This is a very unique combination of heroes done in a really great manga style. I love this Rion Gonzalez cover, a standalone one-shot. It's going to be goofy and fun, but I think this will be one worth stocking and worth handing out to people for some time to come. Now, earlier you said you wanted to see the Predator versus Cyclops. Well, it may not directly be in here, but the Predator killed the Marvel Universe multiple times under Benjamin Percy's writing, and we get to see a collection of all of those miniseries in one binding right before aliens take on the X-Men. Predator Kills the Marvel Universe Omnibus is $100. It combines Predator versus Wolverine versus Black Panther versus Spider-Man and the entire Marvel Universe you are going to get 17 issues. Wow, really? Is that all? 17 issues for $100 in actually a surprisingly thinner than I expected hardcover, but beautiful Gabriel Dell'Otto direct market exclusive cover. And somewhere there is a non-direct market exclusive cover, but I can't show you where it is right now. We talked about Chris Cantwell, and I love bringing things back full circle. Chris Cantwell has an awesome new book over at Lunar and an awesome new book over at Penguin Random House as he revives Star Trek with a new ongoing series. Christopher Cantwell brought us a incredible Star Trek series in the way of the Worf-driven ship that was Defiant. I had to sit there and think about that for a second. And now he is back with Enterprise D. Spinning out of the Picard series, we get Enterprise D captained by the Seven of Nine and other great characters, including Geordi LaForge's daughter, Crash LaForge. All of the fun that you loved in that third season of Picard, now launching a brand new series. Heather Antos has just been bringing together some unbelievable creative teams and really reviving my love of Star Trek more than even Paramount has with its streaming service shows. This is going to be awesome. If you have ever been a Star Trek fan, if you've ever been a Voyager fan, if you loved Picard, this is going to be a book you want on your pull. But I also can tell you, having already had the chance to flip through it, this is going to be a good entry point if you've never read Star Trek and just want a big adventure book. This is fun. It is a relatively new cast, and even longtime fans who have familiarity with this cast are really going to get a chance to discover new characters and better personality definition of this under Christopher Cantwell's writing and Dennis Manhiri's unbelievable artwork, as you can see from that cover. There are a million great covers. You get a very diverse cast of aliens, which isn't always a common thing in Star Trek stories. And look, even Patrick Horvath cover. I love all this. Everything about this has my attention. I am hoping that people dive onto this Star Trek series. But if you're not a Star
Trek, if you're on a Star Trek ship and your captain is called Crash, do you not just get off the ship because you know what's going to happen? Especially if you have a certain color of wardrobe. I'm just saying.
It's okay. The captain's not Crash. It's the person driving the ship is called Crash. That gives me more
Same thing.
Right? All right. Well, if you're not a Trek fan and you prefer your wars, the pros pick of this week, I'm sorry, I'm stealing it from you, Kyle. I get the pros pick of the week this week, is Star Wars, Edge of the Abyss, the second book in the reign of the Empire. Now, last December, you might remember me talking about the start of the reign of the Empire in this amazing book right down here, The Mask of Fear, which dealt with Mon Mothma, Balin Organa, and Saw Gerrera, dealing with Emperor Palpatine's announcement that the Republic is now a galactic empire. It continues on in this Andor-adjacent tale featuring that trinity of Saw, Organa, and Mothma. I cannot wait. Rebecca Roanhorse continuing this tale. Look, if you wish there was an Andor season 3, this is the closest we're going to get, and it's going to be big. This drops September 15th. I cannot wait to open the pages and dive more into the Star Wars universe. Meanwhile, at the same time, the final issue of the High Republic's Phase More comics from Dark Horse is out. I want to show that off really quickly. That is Star Wars High Republic Adventures Pathfinders, as I believe that is going to be the last of the Dark Horse Star Wars comics before things switch over to Mad Cave. Meanwhile, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fans, talk about some great trade paperback collections. For $14, you're going to get 14 classic issues that you just can't afford to buy remotely near that price of the Mirage era. You're going to get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 through 10 by Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, and all 4 of the micro series one-shots that will include those first appearances of Casey Jones, that second appearance of Shredder, and more. 14 issues, $14. Kyle, you're a Turtle fan. You probably own all these issues, but tell me
Yeah.
that's not a steal of a deal.
No, it is. I mean, these are hard issues to get. They're not easy to come by, especially the early issues and low printings. But
Did we lose you, Kyle?
yeah, kind of. This is a great way to get these books and to be able to read these books.
Absolutely. All right. We're wrapping up this week's FOC with X-Men Outback number 4. I have to show it off because I have spotlighted these covers a number of times, and this deserves a spot in the top 10. It just couldn't make it with the packed list that we had. But Russell Dodderman doing that sexy, savage Goblin King version of Havoc is going to be attention. This is up there with some pumpkin spicy Nightwing or some sweater weather Batman and Superman. Watch this cover blow up. Russell Dodderman knows how to do it with the Goblin Queen and our Goblin King, Havoc. Great cover on Outback number 4. And we wrap it, of course, with one last manga, Yang Can't Live Alone. Coming from Square Enix manga, it is a really interesting twist because you don't often find Japanese manga with Chinese characters. But really cute romance slice of life. You're going to need to get an order in on it. That said, we're pushing it. We need to get to our top 10. I know Kyle is ready to slap me. Let's bring it on. Our top 10 for Monday, August 17th, FOC. And we're going to start off with our honorable mention. Pardon the Intrusion, I'm Home. It's a manga that even Kyle can get behind. It's got a super popular anime series. Stores, if you're not familiar with this, but you want to stock manga, this is one to stock up on. Manga fans, anime fans, if you haven't checked this out already, this is a must. And I am so ecstatic that Lunar Distribution is making it easy to access this at your local comic shop. Then we cut to our top 10. It's Supergirl 17, part of the Kingdom of Zod, and Joe Quinones does something I am truly shocked by. Because those who are familiar with this pose likely remember the Joker and Batgirl having a cover like this that was pulled from stands, or rather from the print run. It was never actually published. It was a very controversial cover, and it led to a ton of drama as the Joker held up Barbara Gordon against her will. Now we see an homage to the cover that never truly went to print, as Supergirl does it to Superboy. Joe Quinones, that is a bold act, and man, this is going to be a demanded book. You watch this become a heavily talked about cover on release week, and I would lay odds probably gets an aftermarket or movement of note. Spot number 9, Beneath the Trees, Where Only the Stars Can See. Star Trek number 1. It's a Patrick Horvath cover. Yes, Beneath the Trees, writer and artist Horvath doing this awesome Star Trek cover. This is cool. I'm excited about this Star Trek. You just heard me rant about it. I don't need to rant more other than to say that that Patrick Horvath cover is just something else and needs to be purchased. Avengers Armageddon number 4, first appearance of a new character set up for the new Chip Zdarsky Avengers in November, and Michael Cho can't show us his cover because it's a spoiler. What could it be? All I know is I'm going to blindly order it because I am gambling that that is going to be something awesome. Maybe it's a first appearance and first cover appearance. Spot number 8 has to go to not just one cover, but a number. Hello Darkness 25 has multiple covers by Jenny Frison. They have it split up as part 1 and part 2. There's a black and white edition of part 1 and part 2 for a local comic shop day exclusive. There is a connecting 1 in 10 cover that you see right here with this image. And there is a glow-in-the-dark 1 in 20 or 25 cover. I cannot recall which, but one way or another, Jenny Frison knocked this piece out of the park. And whether you get this as 2 covers, as every cover option possible, or as a wraparound ratio variant, let your comic shop know the ratio variants might be a little pricey, and deservedly so, because that is a stunning piece of Frisson artwork. Not to mention Marion Heretic back. Spot number 6, one of the only times you'll ever see a facsimile on my top 10 list. It is because it is not a facsimile. It is a wonderful homage and nod to the beloved life of artist Joe Kubert. This reprint of DC Special number 5 features Joe's self-portrait on there, along with his children, his grandchildren, and other students doing their takes on his famous characters. Beautiful piece. Summoner Wars, nailing it in at number 5. Let me tell you, if you love the board game, if you love the mobile game, you already are in on this. You definitely are going to want that B cover for that added card. But if you've never played the game and you just love fantasy adventures, this is a must. Martin Abel's beautiful cover there gives hint at Machi's incredible interiors. Everything about this is fun. It is epic. It makes me want to hop back on a World of Warcraft server and just start slinging magic. Great, great comic. Spot number 4. What if Todd McFarlane had created Spawn back in 1977? This is going to be our take as Mark Spears and Todd combine together for 3 epic issues. This is going to be fun. I really hope people order big. I hope stores get the opportunity to reach for those 1 in 25, 1 in 100, 1 in 500 double sign books. Reach out to your local comic shop. Let them know what you want, what covers you need. And then, of course, if they're going to be able to getting those ratios, what they'll be charging, because they're not going to be cheap. And not every store is going to qualify, but they are going to be in demand. Then Amazing Venom. I am so excited for Jordan's new comic. This is going to be great. I really hope this lasts far beyond 5 issues. But of all the incredible covers for it, the Eric Larson homage to himself on Amazing Spider-Man is unbelievable. Let's get more of Comeback, Boomerang, and Passenger combined as the new anti-hero symbiote. It's going to be fun. Number 2, it's another homage, this one to the classic Aliens movie poster. It's Alien versus X-Men. Alan Quah knocking that homage out of the park. Let's hope that Wolverine's a little bit smarter in dealing with those pesky xenomorph eggs. Finally, one big one to rule the list. It's Carmen Blade number 1, the Ian Bertram B cover. I will say that because getting all of those keys of this internal story on one cover is definitely something you're going to want. Carmen Blade is set up, in my opinion, to win countless awards, if not be nominated for countless more in 2027. This drops in September, on September 9th. But man, you're going to want to get this order in and read it. It is just a beautiful, beautiful comic. So all that, and there's still more on the EXP today and this weekend. Kyle, what do we have coming up after this show?
We have a special guest tonight on the hosting the art show tonight, so you're going to want to tune in for that. And then Nancy McCann will be doing her normal Friday Night Live show from Comics Unlimited tonight at 9 o'clock. Then next week, we'll be back with an all-new slate of shows. So make sure you stay tuned to everything on social media and here on the EXP.
All right. And don't forget, reach out to your local comic shop with a list of everything it is you want, what stories you need to add, what new series, what covers you specifically want, and especially the quantities if you're going for 25 copies of Spawn 77 number 1. Let your local comic shop know. The sooner the better. We'll be back next Friday with even more books on next week's FOC and another incredible guest. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.